What is happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel, where for today's video, thanks to Shozy Store, we're going to be checking out the Pangu Toys Fury Bee Modified Studio Series Dark of the Moon Bumblebee. Now, if you would like to check this figure out for yourself, then definitely be sure to head down to those links in the description box below. And as we check out Bee, this is a really cool take on the character. I kind of see this as a great progression of where some of those Michael Bay designs may have ended up had he decided to stick around for slightly longer. This basically takes what we saw from Transformers Dark of the Moon, specifically when he had that super sick stealth form, and turns it up to the max, literally, as this Bee looks like he has been ripped straight out of a Mad Max movie, and this is him in his stripped down form. There are even more attachments and upgrades to give him in just a bit, but as we check out the detail, so nicely sculpted and put together. Already you can see some of the upgrades there to the front part of the chest. We get these spikes which stick out of the headlights, which are just nuts. I really like the quad stacks which are attached here onto the side of the hips, and he also includes 4 spiked rims. Now these things are savage. They are super spiky, super pointy, so definitely make sure you watch out for these when you're articulating him, and especially during transformation. But as we turn him here to the side, again you can see some of the upgrades such as the enhanced spoiler, the nuts and bolts that we have added here to the door wings. The engineering is pretty much identical to what we have come to expect from standard Studio Series B figures, but very nicely put together, and trust me, it's about to get a whole lot crazier when we do whack out some of those upgrades. The first being this spiked battering ram. Now you will see this a little more when we transform him into vehicle mode, but even in robot mode this has a role to play, as officially the instructions do state that it is supposed to attach here onto the top. Honestly, I don't think this is a great look. Surely if Bumblebee was to add upgrades onto himself, they would also be useful to him in robot mode. So instead, what I like to do is slightly flex the tabs over the midsection of the chest and have this as an added enhancement for the chest piece. Surely this is what Bee would use this for in robot mode. Maybe if all of his firepower fails him, he can use this and begin impaling some of the Decepticons, as this looks awesome, and this is really something I was hoping to see from some of the upgrades that the Rise of the Beast characters got, such as Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. You know, their bull bars and their roll cages I really think should have been used as armor for their robot modes. But yeah, this looks really cool. And then for some firepower, Bee does include these 2 thrusters, which you will see more of in vehicle mode, but they can also act as these wicked looking blasters for robot mode. Super nicely detailed and painted. Both of them do include LEDs, so if you push the button here on top, check out how vibrant that is, and it looks even better when paired with the added blast effects. Now, whilst these look cool and they can be broken apart into 3 individual segments, much like the spiked rims, these are savage. Pretty much all of the corners are super sharp, so I would take a lot of caution with these. There has been quite a few times where I've scraped myself and done damage to myself when messing around with these. So if you are purchasing this for a younger collector, then maybe you're going to want to take these away from them. But to show you guys how these upgrades looked when added to Bee, super awesome. This is kind of a throwback to how Ironhide had his cannons in those Michael Bay movies. This one stays on just fine, although for some strange reason this one is a little looser. But there are also additional ways in how you can integrate these into the design, such as using them as actual handheld blasters, because the port and tab is the same size as all of the weapons that we've seen for Studio Series and Legacy. Or alternatively, and this is kind of giving a few spoilers away for the vehicle mode, Bee does include this additional attachment which can be used to combine with the blasters to create an actual booster pack for Bee, which can be attached onto his back. So I think the accessories are kind of cool. There are quite a few ways in how you can use them to upgrade Bumblebee, so it's nice how versatile they are. And to be fair, the jetpack idea I actually think is kind of awesome for this guy. But we're not done just yet, as we do get this additional engine piece, which again can act as a blaster when in robot mode. And like we've seen many times with Studio Series B figures, he does include his classic Stinger Blaster. So this can simply slide over the top of the hand and you can have him firing away at the Decepticons, which again is pretty cool. And then the final accessory he includes to kind of go along with this whole battle ready idea would be a battle mask. Now, unlike the regular bot mode head, this is brand new. This is not reused from any previous Studio Series figure. I kind of think looks a little too small in comparison to the rest of the robot mode, although I do really like the super sick slash that he has going across the right hand side of the eye. Maybe would have been cool to have seen more battle damage sculpted into this guy. You know, he looks savage, he looks like he's ready for war, so I think that would have been a pretty neat touch, as so would have it been had maybe they dulled down the colours a little better to match the original Dark of the Moon Bumblebee. Which, talking of, here we have it on the right hand side. And to kind of go back to my previous point, I really do find this to be a great progression to what we saw from Transformers Dark of the Moon. They just kind of take that whole stealth mode vibe to a whole other level. I do, however, much prefer the darker yellow that we have here on the Dark of the Moon version. And one thing which I must stress is, despite this upon first glance looking like an actual Studio Series figure, the plastic quality is not the same at all. Whilst it's not brilliant on the official version, there are no pieces here which I feel as if though would actually cause damage to yourself, whereas that is not the case with this one. The spikes, the corners, the edges, and in particular those rims are brutal, so you're definitely going to want to watch out. Now, as we check out the articulation for Fury B, because the skeleton between this figure and the official Hasbro version are pretty much the same, there really aren't too many differences. So, up first, the head's on a ball joint. This will look up and down and can rotate left to right. The same could be said for the shoulders, although due to the design, they are a little limited. Maybe would have been cool to have seen them shaved the top parts of these off, but they will hinge out to the sides. The elbows are on ball joints, so these can bend to 90 and also rotate. The same can be said here for the waist. The hips will kick forwards to that far, they'll then kick back roughly to that far, out to the sides, although these are by far the loosest joints on the entire figure, so you may want to look into tightening them up fresh out the box. There's then a thigh swivel, a knee bend which can go to 90, and if you take the shin guard and hinge this slightly forwards, it does allow for a decent ankle pivot, although again, you are going to want to be careful of those spiked rims as they are savage. Now, as we check out Fury B's transformation, I am actually reshooting this because there are some points which I think I should stress just a little more, one of those being the plastic quality. As I was transforming this guy from vehicle back to robot, this arm guard did snap clean off, so you definitely have to bear in mind that the plastic on this figure is nowhere near as good as the official version, and to be fair, it does kind of feel quite cheap, which is a shame as this does retail for $40. But getting stuck into his conversion, the first step would be to take these arm guards and snap them flush along the forearm. You would also have to do the same here for this side if I had it intact. We can then spin around here to the back, take these door wings and hinge these here upwards. One improvement is that everything is solid plastic, so when it gets round to vehicle mode, hopefully we shouldn't have any ugly colour mismatch. We can then take the backpack here and hinge all of these panels out, much like you would do on the original version, so hinge that out. The next step would be to take the shoulders, hinge these here out to the sides, really and truly just to get them out of the way, rotate at the waist all the way around, and then what you'll do is rotate here at the thigh. Now, I'm only going to show the transformation on one leg, as this is something which I've showcased quite a lot over on the channel, and the conversion between this and the official version is pretty much the same. The next step would be to take this hip fender and hinge this here outwards. We can then come to the foot, detach it away from this little slot and slide this along this sliding joint. Once you've done that, we can then take what will become the rear part of the window, hinge this piece here outwards, take the shin guard, pull this away and rotate this here all the way around just like that. And as you flip B to the underside, what's going to happen is this originally was the ankle joint. For transformation, you're going to want to bend this here inwards. Now, you really have to be careful of those spiked rims because the instructions do say they are removable. I've tried to remove them, although unfortunately have had no luck, and they really do make the transformation kind of tricky because they are just so pointy. Another thing which is worth bearing in mind is this loves to kind of scoot back and forwards. You have to make sure that it is fully extended. What we can then do is spin around here to the back, take where the tail light is and hinge this here in. Now what you'll do is make sure that this fender kind of flexes past the wheel, and it's going to flex all the way up until it does snap there into that tab. You'll then spin here to the underside, take this shin guard, hinge it inwards, but make sure that it is on the underside of this skirt piece so there is enough clearance, and do the exact same on the opposite side. Bang! Once that's complete, we can now proceed to combine the two halves directly down the middle, and unfortunately that's not even the most challenging part of the transformation complete, because now we turn to the chest, which I think honestly is a nightmare. So the first step here would be to take these pieces and detach those away from the central part of the chest. We can then take this piece, pull it here forwards and begin to lift this up. Once you've done that, we can then grab a hold of this piece, bring this down, take these hinge joints here, fold these down, and then rotate here at the shoulder all the way around just like that, and bring these here down. Once that's complete, we can then rotate at what originally was the elbow joint. Do the same here for this side, so rotate here at the shoulder, bring these hinge joints here all the way down and then rotate here at the elbow. So at the moment it should look along the lines of this. The next step would be to then take these door wings and bring these here backwards on both sides. Now this side is super tight on my copy, but just bring that there backwards. What we can then do is take this entire section and bring this here forwards. Now you're going to want to line this piece up with this rear window, and then what's going to happen with this piece is you're going to bring this here all the way forwards, flip these headlights forwards just like that, and then this silver piece is actually going to tuck on the underside of the front bumper. Then we can take these headlights here and snap those into place just like this. The next step would be to then take these wheels and snap these into the front part of the vehicle on both sides. With that now complete, we can turn here to the underside. Make sure that these arms do slide into these hollow gaps, so do the same here for this side. Take this torso piece, snap that there into place, and now is where you're going to want to apply a little bit of pressure, because it does take quite a bit of force to kind of bring these doors here back. So snap those into place. This little tab is going to slide into what originally was the shoulder. With that now complete, we can then just begin lining up all of these tabs and slots, which to be fair are a little easier said than done, as some of them are super temperamental, but just do the same here for this side. So again, make sure you straighten that door out, bring it here to the back, snap that there into place, and then just begin lining up all of those tabs. And bang! Here we have Fury B fully transformed into his modified off-road Camaro. Now this is without any of the additional upgrades, and just as standard looks wicked. Check out those nuts and bolts alongside that door, those quad pipes, the modified windshield, the enhanced spoiler. This thing really looks freaky, and I would love to see Pangu Toys maybe approach the classic Peter-built semi-truck Optimus Prime with this similar design. Can you guys imagine kind of an off-road version of the original trilogy Michael Bay Prime? I think it would look crazy. This is what B looks like from the underside. Now, as you saw, the transformation is the same as the original 2007 Studio Series release, so there aren't really too many differences there, although I do believe pretty much the entire exterior of this vehicle is completely brand new when compared to that original figure, so that's definitely pretty cool. But let's now armorize him up with some of those upgrades. And I think he is looking pretty badass. Check out that serrated front bumper, the modified engine piece, and those massive turbo thrusters. This guy now looks sick. And one thing which I love about this is these pieces are fully customizable. So if you didn't want to have the engines on top, you could remove that. The same could be said there for the engine piece and the front bumper. It really is just such a savage looking vehicle. And to be honest, would work quite well for the Rise of the Beast movie. You know, that figure did kind of take on an off-road Camaro. Was not as cool looking as this, and I think had he had this form, maybe it would have caused for a slightly cooler vehicle mode sequence. But yeah, this is just brilliant, and it's one of the rare cases where I'm kind of debating whether or not to display this guy in vehicle or robot mode. And to compare him alongside the regular 2011 Camaro, here we have that Dark of the Moon Bumblebee. I really want to know what goes down for Bumblebee to upgrade from this alt mode to this absolute savage. If this was in a Transformers film, I'm pretty certain he would need to upgrade into a form like this, maybe to fend off against the Bayverse Unicron, because he really does just look so sick. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Pangu Toys Fury B. Everything about this guy looks epic. My only issue with him would have to be that some of the plastic does come across as being a little unfinished. Because this is a third-party product, there are some edges which I think are just a little too sharp, and I think maybe could have been rounded off for a better user experience. There's been quite a few times where I've been posing him around and have really spiked myself with those rims. So if you are going to pick this up, you definitely have to be wary of what part you're touching when you're messing around with him. I'd love to get your thoughts on this figure down in the comment section below. Would you like Pangu Toys to approach any of the other Michael Bay Transformers? And if so, what character? Like I said, an Optimus Prime I think would be killer. You can find this figure by checking out the link down in the description box below. And until my next review, I thank you all so much for watching. Transform and roll out!